Hello friends. Today on our agenda we have another fascinating story. On this channel we've discussed tragic events related to mountaineering many times before, and often it remains unclear why the bodies of deceased climbers are left in the mountains. But as you'll see, the answer to this question is far from simple. Firstly, many climbers express a desire to remain in the mountains after death. For them, it's a kind of sacred place where they've spent much time and made their most important strides. The idea of hauling bodies down on sleds seems absurd, considering the complexity of the mountainous terrain. Some may ask why helicopters aren't used for evacuation. In reality, it's not as simple as it seems. Mountains often have unpredictable weather and strong air currents. Even if the weather is fine, a helicopter can be thrown off course by gusts of wind and crash into rocks. Moreover, suitable landing spots aren't always available for helicopters. This means that someone from the rescue team must descend on a rope and secure the body, and this isn't a safe operation, especially in high winds. Despite all technological advancements, the primary method of retrieving bodies from mountains is with the help of other climbers. They ascend, secure the bodies, and lower them down. But even this isn't always possible due to challenging conditions and high risks. So our story today serves as a vivid example of why the bodies of deceased climbers often remain in the mountains. These places are full of dangers and mysteries, and sometimes even the most advanced technologies can't overcome natural obstacles. And here our story once again raises before us the mysteries and barriers hidden within the mountain realm. Our reflections will lead us to the first attempt to conquer the summit of Peak Pobeda in 1955, when 11 brave souls fell victim. Only one climber managed to return to the realm of men, but the price was exceedingly high. However, even in the darkest times, the spirit of Soviet mountaineering remained unyielding. They endeavored to retrieve the bodies of the fallen, conducting large-scale rescue operations. And this time, at the request of the relatives of 3 climbers whose souls the mountain claimed, it was decided to conduct a descent. All these events remain in the annals of history as challenging trials, but also as monuments to the bravery and determination of the human spirit in the face of natural untamed forces. The 1960 expedition was planned as a grand event. The full traverse of the Peak Pobeda massif from its western shoulder, 6,918 meters high, to the Chomtaran Pass was the plan. Additionally, they planned to ascend Khan Tengri via a new route from the east and tackle a series of other challenging climbs. However, besides the athletic component, the main task was to retrieve the bodies of deceased comrades. This expedition was organized as a joint effort between the trade union team and the Turkestan military district. Such events were extremely rare in the Soviet Union, if they were held at all. Out of the 50 climbers in the team, 31 already had experience climbing heights above 7,000 meters. These were true professionals, well prepared and well equipped. The expedition spared no expense. The plan was as follows: to combine the retrieval of the bodies with acclimatization outings. After the bodies were lowered, well-acclimatized climbers would set out on the traverse of Peak Pobeda. The only concern of the leaders was the need to ascend the avalanche-prone North Ridge, but there simply was no other way to reach the bodies. However, this did not cause concern among the participants. The team included climbers from Uzbekistan who were familiar with the mountain and had traversed this route several times. The first outing took place on July 17. They planned to ascend to a height of 5,600 meters, set up a camp there, and drop off some equipment for the rescue work. Ascending to the plateau at 5,200 meters, the climbers decided to follow the implicit ridge descending from the plateau to the northwest. The ridge intersected by small drops, which should have prevented the formation of a strong avalanche. However, the weather suddenly worsened at 14, snowfall began, visibility practically disappeared, and the lead group of climbers veered off the route to the left of the ridge. Some of the team suggested turning back and following the planned route, but climbers with experience climbing Peak Pobeda insisted that this was a safe path, and there was nothing wrong with veering left. The weather didn't improve, and it was decided to set up camp and wait it out. The next morning brought frost, but the weather cleared up, the snow stopped, and even the wind died down. The climbers woke up before sunrise and teams of 3 or 4 people set out up the slope again. They were only about 200 meters away from reaching the plateau. They even had radio communication with the base camp, reporting that they were successfully reaching the plateau. This meant that the most dangerous sections of the route were already behind them, and they could start retrieving the bodies. And then the climbers suddenly heard silence, broken only by a dull crack. Within moments, at 30 meters above the first group on the slope, a crack opened up. A huge snowfield, 200 by 100 meters in size, broke away from the slope and rolled down, carrying away 29 out of 33 climbers. Here's how one of the surviving participants describes this moment. "I had only one thought: not to suffocate. Suddenly it felt like I was being lifted into the air, flying and falling down the slope with the snow. Moments passed and I found myself in darkness, entangled with my companions by a rope, their hands unnaturally twisted. But we managed to get out and immediately rushed to help those who were buried in the snow in the crevasse. They were unconscious, but we didn't give up." At the same time, other climbers who had emerged from the avalanche helped dig out several more members of their team from under the snow. However, it seemed that the 2 initial groups were too far away to be reached in time. Despite frantic efforts, it was not possible to find the 2 initial groups alive. Where 8 climbers were located, their names will remain in memory: Bayanov, Glembowski, Kadochnikov, Lysenko, Leyshev, Osintsev, Nagel, and Plotnikov. And 2 more who were found did not regain consciousness and died. They were Kuzmenko and Sedmitruk. The bodies of the deceased were lowered to the Zvezdotka Glacier on July 19th and to the base camp the next day. An attempt to lower 3 climbers ended in tragedy, and 10 of the strongest climbers lost their lives. The expedition was forced to interrupt its trek and descend from the mountain. But Peak Pobeda was not willing to yield. It claimed several more lives, adding a new page to its grim history. Seismologists noted small tremors in the Tian Shan region at this time. Perhaps this unnoticed earthquake triggered the avalanche, leaving the unanswered question of why mountains so often keep their grim secrets and do not yield the deceased. But this is not just a question of money or willingness to help. Rescue work often results in new losses. This is hard and dangerous work that requires not only courage but also wisdom. Don't forget to support us. Like this video and share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to the channel to not miss new videos, and tell your friends about us. Together we can do more. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to seeing you in the next adventures in the mountains.